Hello everybody, Jacob Duffney back, and Joe Biden yesterday signed the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill into law. And while there are parts of the bill that I do like, there are other parts of the bill that I think is absolute hokum, and the government does not need to be spending money like that. So, to get things off, I'm going to first talk about the things that I don't necessarily care for which you'll see right here. You should be seeing that right there. And that is they're sending $21,000 for federal employees to stay home. $25,000 bonus for state government workers. $50 million to Planned Parenthood, $200 million for museum and library services, $270 million for endowment for arts/humanities, $600 million for San Francisco, $1.5 billion to Amtrak, $12 billion to foreign governments, $15 billion for illegal immigrant eligible health care, $111 billion for welfare without work requirements, and $350 billion to bail out Democratic states. Yeah. So that should be, you should be seeing that right there. And I gotta say, why the hell does San Francisco gonna be so special to get $600 million? One, that is Nancy Pelosi's home. And there's currently a project for some sort of tunnel-like thing, and I could be wrong on that. I believe I heard a House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, talk about that. And $50 million to Planned Parenthood. They already have tons of money. Why do we keep giving them more money? One that gets me, $15 billion for illegal immigrant eligible health care. What makes them so special? What about all the people in this country that can't afford health care? I've actually had a few medical bills go to collections within the last year, because I've been in and out of the hospital a lot in the last year for my heart, as I've been struggling with a weak heart, and yet I struggle to pay the bills, as I also was struggling with work at the time, being in and out of the hospital, and lost my job because I couldn't perform my job anymore and was struggling there, and I got unemployment. And when I actually lost my job is when the bonus $600 unemployment benefit ended, and I struggled to pay the bills off my $300 for my rent that was $900, and I was pretty much raking in $1,200 a month, and I struggled to pay my phone bill, my rent, and everything else there. And yet we're going to give $15 billion spread out through the illegal immigrants when you can't even help your own citizens struggle who are currently struggling. So yeah, and then $350 billion to bail out Democratic states. Seriously. Like, what? Democratic states were the ones that did a lot of the shutdowns. A lot of the Republican states may have shut down some aspects, but were widely still relatively open, and yet, for whatever reason, we are bailing out the states whose economies suffer because of shutdowns. When a lot of these Republican states who did very little shutdowns, South Dakota didn't do one. Florida opened up relatively early last year. All their cases are being very well handled, and yet these states who say that we need to shut down to preserve and kill this virus, which didn't help, needs to be bailed out. Let the states figure that out. That's why we have separation of governments. I don't understand why we're spending $470 million to museum and library services and endowment of arts and humanities. I don't really know much about that, so I'm not going to really say much about that, other than the fact that I don't understand it, and I think that should definitely be explained. And if someone knows that, leave that in the comment section below. But let's go into the other aspects of it that are more COVID-based relief things. And so we're all getting, I shouldn't say all, a majority of Americans will be getting a $1,400 stimulus check per person, which is estimated to reach about 90% of households throughout the country. And then it'll get additional $1,400 per child. And that taps out at $75,000 per individual and $150,000 for married couples. And I'm not much for giving out free money. Every time I'm at work and I see someone using food stamps, I kind of just roll my eyes in the back. And the bad guy still put on a friendly face and stuff, but when I see it, I kind of internally roll my eyes when I see it. And even when I was struggling, I didn't search out for that type of stuff. I kind of just let myself struggle, and I did what I could do to try to get back into things. But when the government pretty much puts your financial stability into question and start shutting down things, and then other corporations are cutting back hours and stuff due to the losses, and the government essentially put everybody in a place where they are struggling. Sure as hell I'm going to expect the government to help me back out. If the government just left things alone, so-and-so would have still had their job. So-and-so would have still had their small family business open, providing income to their employees and income to themselves to be able to put food on the table for their families at night. That's the type of stuff. But when the government shut things down, that is definitely going to make things a little bit more tougher for the individuals. So going on to the second piece of something that I think is decent is that there's a $300 federal boost which is pretty much what it's at right now for the unemployment extras. It's $300 a week. And it's going to go through September 6th. And it's going to go through September 6th. And it also makes $10,200 worth of the benefits payments tax-free for households with annual incomes less than $150,000. And people on unemployment are going to be probably people not making $150,000 a year. So I think that is good. I ended up having to pay because I was stupid and didn't have my unemployment taxed when I was on it, and that really hurt me when I did my taxes last week, and that actually really hurt me, as I had to pay a decent chunk of money to both the federal and state of Minnesota, and kind of wondered how I'm going to pay for that right now, and I'll figure that out when April 15th comes, and I have that set out. I'll probably borrow money from my mom and end up having to pay her back or something like that, but I'll figure that out when the time comes to have that paid. And then apparently this package, which I didn't know until just now, extends 15% increase in food stamps benefits through September instead of having it expire at the end of June. And I just was making fun of food stamps just like minutes ago. But I can understand why people are on them right now, as they're struggling because they're out of work and things like that. And I understand that for the most part. And I do think that this is pretty much good for the people that are really struggling. Except a lot of the times, people that I see use food stamps, and I work in a convenience store, a lot of times I see the people that use food stamps, they get, I guess, for me, I believe food stamps should be more used for nutritional type things, getting your meals and things like that, and should be used at grocery stores. I don't think convenience stores should allow food stamps, and a lot of people I see get $50 worth of junk food that are not really nutritional type things. They usually get cases of pop and big bags of chips and stuff like that, and then after they do that, they do another transaction and get like 3 or 4 packs of cigarettes. If you weren't buying so much cigarettes, you'd actually have the money to pay for that stuff that you just used food stamps for. And that's why I have an issue with food stamps, because they should be used for nutritional type things. If you want to buy $50 worth of snacks at a convenience store, you should use your own money. But if you want to go grocery shopping and get actual meals and get a few snacks, because people need to kind of have their midday snacks and stuff, and you should be able to do that at, like, say, go to a grocery store and do that. You shouldn't go to a convenience store at 2 in the morning because you have munchies from smoking weed and going to buy $50 worth of snacks with food stamps. And that's where I come from on that, and you can hate me for it, you can agree with me for it, and at the end of the day I could care less what you think, but that's just my personal opinion. And then there's housing aid that's $20 billion to state and local governments to help low-income households cover back rent assistance, and utility bills. It authorizes about $10 billion to help struggling homeowners pay their mortgages, utilities, and property taxes. The bill also provides $5 billion to help states and localities assist those at risk of experiencing homelessness by providing safe, socially distant housing. And another $5 billion goes to emergency housing vouchers for those who are homeless. And I get behind that. Homelessness is a problem in the United States and needs to be taken into account for and things like that. And we need to help figure out the homeless problem in America. And I do believe that rent has gone through the roof, and I do believe that we need to start figuring out things to keep housing costs lower. And I do live by myself, and not really sure how I'm getting by, but other than the fact that I'm managing to get by. And we need to figure things out to help keep those things lower. Because I do believe housing has gone way too high. It's actually gone up faster than inflation over the last 20 years. And It needs to be taken care of. And I think that's pretty good as of right now. A lot of people are struggling and need the help. And I've never been one for governments really helping out the people. I believe a lot of that should be dealt with nonprofit organizations such as the American Red Cross and other organizations that help out the people. I don't believe it's really the government's job to do that. But when the government, as I said earlier, puts people out of their jobs and forces them out of that, I expect some sort of cutback from it. Because you pushed me out of there, I pay you my taxes, and I now need that extra money from the taxes I paid you to get back on my feet. And that's essentially what I'm seeing this as of. The government pushed people out of their homes, out of their livelihoods. And now we're going, hey, what the hell? I was doing fine until you pushed me out of work. My personal opinion again. And then it also boosts up the tax credits, and I don't really have a interest in this, as none of this is going to be counted for me anyways, because I have no kids. My mom, on the other hand, had four kids under the age of 4. Or no, 4 kids under the age of 7. My bad. So, as my 4 siblings, my mom's getting a hell of a lot of money in tax credits, as the tax credit went up to $3,600 for each child under 6, and then $3,000 for each child under age of 18. And families can receive a credit of up to $2,000 per child under 17. That makes no sense to me, as it's saying for $3,000 for each child under age of 18, and then families can receive a credit of up to $2,000 per child under age of 17. And then currently it's $2,000, so they raised it up to $5,000. I got it. Mind not really blowing, more or less. Mind not really thinking. Yeah. So in other words, as of right now, if this was to go in fact, last tax season, my mom would have gotten $3,600 times 3 plus $3,000. In other words, over $10,000. So, yeah. But again, that doesn't really affect me. I don't have any kids. And that's pretty much the bulk of it. It's also pushing out to have vaccines to every adult in America by May 1st. And also provides $47.8 billion towards testing and contact tracing for COVID. And then provides $8.5 billion for rural hospitals and healthcare providers. And it also provides $125 billion to public K through 12 schools to help students return to the classroom. And I can tell you how to get children back into classrooms. Open up the schools. Open up the damn schools. And so that is essentially all that I have for you guys today. My camera automatically cuts video off at 11 minutes and 58 seconds, so I tried breaking up the recording, and apparently I went a little bit longer in the last block that I was shooting, and so it may have cut off in a weird place. And so if you notice something just automatically cut off and come to this section, that is exactly why But I would just love to tell you guys thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section down below. Alright, peace out.